We see you, my brother.
How are you?
Good, good. We actually could just go right now.
What are we doing today?
Guys, welcome to the new Harlem Capital HQ. We are here in Soho. This is our biggest bet yet, outside of investing in tech startups and hiring people at the firm. We have our own dedicated space. It is massive, and our whole focus here is to create a Moonshot factory. We want to have folks who are starting companies, incubating companies, having demo days, hackathons, etc. in this space. Today, I'll show you around a little bit. We'll take some founder calls, and then we'll check out Soho and see what kind of trouble we can get into.
So what made your team choose this area specifically?
Soho is like one of the epicenters of tech right now. We have OpenAI just like a block or two away, Thrive Capital, all these other venture capital funds and startups. And so it just made sense that everyone is here eating, drinking, shopping, and also working. And we run into people all the time who are in the ecosystem. So Soho just was a natural place for us to have our HQ. But maybe now I can show you, even though it's a little messy, so we apologize, but I can show you what we think is going to happen in each part of the office. Right here is going to be our big conference room. And so we're basically going to have like a big conference room table. We're getting the TV and everything set up right here. And this will be like where we meet with founders, where we do LP meetings who are our big investors. And that will be just like where all the magic happens. Over here, this, as we're setting up, is going to be where we're going to have all of the desk. There's only about a handful of us that are based in New York, but this office can fit over 20 people working. This is going to be another office where anyone who's here can just like work out of here and find peace and quiet. So right here is just like a famous Harlem photo of being on the stoop. And then one last thing that I'll show you right here, don't mind the boxes. You don't have to show all the boxes, but right here is where we're going to have like our welcome Harlem Capital sign. And my opinion, I think we'll have some type of fun place here where either people can take photos or they can write their signature around like being in office for the first time. And then let me show you over here, Gabby, who's on our team, just another conference room. And right here, we're gonna build a conversation pit. So we're gonna have like a couch, chairs, all this stuff, so that when people wanna get away from working or they don't wanna be in a conference room, they can come and have some natural light conversation and just enjoy themselves. So this is a big deal. So recently, over the years, we've just had small seats at shared spaces. And so for us to have multiple conference rooms, a kitchen, a conversation area, we're gonna have phone booths, and then 20 desks for people to work. Like, we are making a big bet that we're gonna be one of the ecosystem builders in New York City.
Why do you think it's important to have physical spaces like this rather than just meeting virtually?
The future of investing, I think, is trust. Like, who do you trust? If everyone has money, everyone's using AI to get in front of you as a founder, it's going to be who you trust the most, who you bring onto your board, who you let invest in your company, et cetera. And so how do you build trust? You build trust from genuine relationships. How do you build genuine relationships? You have to spend long, hard hours together with people, doing things that you like, doing things that you don't like, and getting through those challenges, those ups and those downs. And then you feel like you have a real teammate. If you think about it, when you ever played sports or ever did like a project at work, or you did a project in school, there were those ups and downs, but once you got through that final project or that final like playoffs, what have you, these were your friends and family for life. And we believe that that's the type of relationship that we want to build with our founders before they even fundraise, so that when they do fundraise, we are the first call as soon as they have that idea. So today we have a call called COE, Center of Excellence. This is our weekly call where the partners at the firm, talk about strategy. So every week we're talking about a new situation of how we can be excited to attack our strategy, any really big important issues at the firm, any big investments, any marketing and branding, strategy, office setup. We handle all of that in this COE meeting. And then right after that meeting, we have our weekly deal call meeting, which is where we talk about every single new deal that's in the pipeline, or we talk about companies we already invested in, just any updates on those. And
2023 is crazy.
it's the end of 2023. It's only been 2 years.
Did I have a single post?
I was in hibernation mode. I want to say good job to everybody on posting. We know that we leveraged our relationships in ways that we may not have done in the past, but I think it's been well worth it. He's in good spirits. Like, he's just been grinding. He's like, dude, we've been leaving the office at 1, 2 a.m. So at least I feel good about him putting in the work. He believes that these distribution deals could be the big unlock.
And then the last thing we're thinking about is putting our logo on the wall, but also like inspirational quotes or like one-liners or our values.
He's pretty laser focused on the fundraise, mainly on getting 1 or 2 customers onboarded.
If they don't get back on text, you just want to use your.
All right.
He said you want to save your questions to billionaires for when you need. Yo, this was the first meeting inside of the conference room in the new office. We still have so many things to unpack, but it felt good to get the first real team meeting and center of excellence meeting in. I think our biggest to-dos and takeaways is like 2026 is our year of content, and maybe 1 point on content and brand in the future. Like, I believe the future of every industry, venture capital, finance, private equity, e-commerce, et cetera, is all about brand. And why is brand important? Brand's important because it builds trust. And if you can have more trust with your end customer than someone else in your industry, you'll continually win business. And in an industry where AI is about to take over everything, the only thing we have is trust, is relationship. The biggest worry is that, like, anytime you have a big expenditure like this, it does take time to ramp up and to prove the ROI. And so my job, and many of our jobs on the team, is to compress the time to get that clear ROI. It's almost like investing in a company. As soon as you invest in a company, you want to get quick wins. Easy, small wins, and like build that relationship with your end customer, which is the founder and their management team. We want to do the same thing with this office. Like, we want to get a few events going. We want to get some content going. We want to get people in the office, butts and seats. And that will make us feel a lot better about the concern of, like, is this the right investment? Because we locked this up for like 3 to 5 years. My most exciting opportunity is that we incubate a company that turns into $1 billion company here. Like, that's how you turn overhead into an asset. It's like, we meet founders here, they work out of here, and then as we invest in their company, they get too big to work out of our office, and they get their own office, and they start to scale and get many other funds and customers, and they become a generational company. What's next on the agenda today, like, my opinion, anytime between meetings, I always go get just like a walk to think. Like, how do I digest all the challenges that are next for the week? What am I doing with travel? How do I convince this next founder to take my capital? And are there any other systems I can build around network effects? All of these things are always just in the head. In my opinion, like, a walk always gets that in the right place.
How did it feel through today's meetings in that new space?
New space was honestly amazing. It's not even close to be set up. It's like, it's probably like 20% there. We got the keys, the doors work, and we have Wi-Fi. And we just got our refrigerator today. That is it. We now have a home for other people to call their home from home. And if we do what's right with the community that we're building, there can be very special opportunities, lifelong friendships, deep deep relationships and potential investments where we can have a generational company being built right inside of our office. So that's the number one goal. The number one goal is to have amazing technical talent spend time at our office, and when lightning strikes, you try to catch that in a bottle. And once you capture lightning in a bottle once, orders of magnitude much easier to catch it again in the future. It's almost like the Warriors or like the Bulls or the Lakers. Once you win one championship, it just becomes easier to win more championships. And so the goal every year is to stay healthy, practice at game speed, and as you practice at game speed, get ready for the playoffs and have that endurance to make it to a championship. And then you just gotta play. Yeah, I hope that the work you put in just takes care of everything. Let the score take care of itself.
This is a really big risk for the team. How do you think this bet will pay off?
You gotta think about it. A majority, almost 98% of all the companies we invest in are gonna go to zero, be 0 and 1. And so the entire business we're in is all about risk. If you don't wanna take on risk, you should not be in venture capital. Private equity, stocks, yeah, like you don't invest in things that can go into zero. But because in venture capital, you can have a Facebook, you could invest in $1 trillion company. If you invest in $1 trillion company, like your entire lineage for like the next 5-6 generations are good. Like you're gonna have an endowment, you're gonna have like buildings with your names on it.
How do you think this new office space will help with deal flow?
Think about it, this is just like a people business, right? Venture capital is a contact sport. It's all about your contacts, your relationships, who you can call, how fast they move. And you have to think about, like, in your past, have you ever had a mentor, someone you really wanted to work with, or a friend, and they invited you to their house for the first time? And you got to see how they live, what they do, their backyard, you got to meet their dog and their family. That's what happens when you invite someone to your office. And also, when you invite someone to your home, they get a chance to understand who you are more deeply. They get to have a nonverbal, specific conversation with you and who you are. And so that's what happens with our office. Now someone gets to understand Harlem Capital more. They get to come inside of our home and be a part of our family for some period of time. And we think that we do this at a high level in terms of building community, connecting with people, than a lot of people in the industry. And so we think this is gonna help us win a lot of deals, right? You get to come and be a part of our family, part of our community. And you get to do what? Build more trust. And so our job is to build more trust. There is nothing more trusting than inviting someone into your home.
What makes Harlem Capital different from all the other firms in the area?
I think what makes us different is that our number one goal is trust. Like, we want to be able to build the most amount of trust before you even start your company. Like, we want to do the whiteboard sessions. We want to be your first business hire. We want to help promote all the ideas that you're doing on social. We want to get you on CNBC. We want to be your co-pilot for when you even think about your fundraise. We want to do all that, and even if you don't choose to let us invest, it's totally fine. Because like, we're doing it for the craft building and for building community. Like, we want to have the reputation of, even if we didn't invest in your company, you think that Harlem Capital is still one of the best investment firms and investment teams out there. And one other thing, there's like a book I've been reading called The Gap and the Game by PhD Benjamin Hardy. PhD and has been working with business leaders. And he basically talks about the gap is where you are today versus where you want to be. And so that gap always stays wide because where you want to be is always changing. But the gain is where you are today versus where you were yesterday or years ago, which is always positive, and you're always different. You're always growing. You got new friends. You had a new apartment. You have a raise at a job. You got a new job. All these things that are very positive. And so my job is just to be in the game. How did I get better than I was last week? How did I get better than I was last year? And if I did, which is most likely hard to not do, then I'm successful. And so what I would say, especially with today on this big bet on a new office, what bet are you going to take on yourself? What risk is so scary that you've just been paralyzed to do it? Like, can you go after that risk today? Can you take one step? Can you get one piece of gain to go after the scary thing? Because my opinion, on the other side of fear is success. And so if you can get over that fear, over that big risk, success is imminent. And once you have one little taste of success, it tastes so good. You're gonna want another one. And since you took that big risk, you'll be able to take bigger and better risk in the future. So what risk are you gonna take today?